Welcome back to the channel Coin Lovers. Today we are diving deep into the world of American coinage and uncovering one of the most fascinating pieces of modern U.S. history. Top 4. First up, the 1973 D. Kennedy half dollar. At first glance, this coin may look like just another 50-cent piece, but in reality, it holds secrets of value and rarity that could make you a fortune overnight. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is considered one of the most talked about half dollars in coin collecting today. The Kennedy half dollar series was first introduced in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Americans were eager to honor their fallen leader, and the half dollar became the chosen denomination for this tribute. From that point forward, the Kennedy half dollar has been one of the most beloved and collected U.S. coins. The 1973 D edition, struck at the Denver Mint, is particularly interesting, not only because of its history, but because certain conditions of this coin can turn a pocket change find into a life-changing discovery. Let's start with the basics. The 1973 D Kennedy half dollar was struck in copper-nickel clad composition, which means it does not contain silver like the earlier 1964 version. Instead, it is made up of a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers, giving it that classic silvery appearance. Over 83 million coins were minted in Denver that year, so on the surface, it doesn't sound rare at all. But as you'll see, the devil is in the details. Now here's the twist. Despite the massive mintage, the 1973 D Kennedy half dollar is not considered a circulating coin in the usual sense. In 1973, the U.S. Mint did not release half dollars into general circulation. Instead, these coins were struck only for collectors and were included in mint sets. This unusual decision limited how many pristine examples survived, because not everyone bought mint sets, and those who did often mishandled or spent the coins later on. Condition plays the biggest role in determining whether your 1973 D Kennedy half dollar is worth just 50 cents or thousands of dollars. A coin that is scratched, worn, or circulated may not fetch much, but a coin preserved in mint state condition, meaning it looks just like it did the day it was struck, can sell for hundreds, even thousands, depending on its grade. For example, coins graded MS-65, gem uncirculated, can easily sell in the $50 to $100 range, while those in MS-67 condition, extremely rare, have been auctioned off for over $1,000. And then, there are the finest known examples, which push into even higher territory. In fact, a superb gem 1973 D Kennedy half dollar once sold for more than $5,000 at auction. One of the most fascinating things about coin collecting is that ordinary-looking coins can sometimes hold extraordinary value. Imagine digging through your old coin jar or checking a relative's collection and finding a 1973 D Kennedy half dollar in pristine condition. You could be holding a coin that transforms your financial situation overnight. So, what exactly should you look for? Pay close attention to the coin surfaces. If it has no scratches, retains its original shine, and shows strong details in Kennedy's portrait, you may have a valuable piece. Even more, if it has been graded by a professional grading service, you'll have an official certification that proves its worth in the marketplace. Another tip for collectors is to always check mint marks. The D mint mark on this coin stands for Denver, and it can be found just below Kennedy's neck on the obverse. While Philadelphia also produced 1973 half dollars, the Denver variety is often more sought after in higher grades because of its scarcity in pristine condition. Let's not forget about proof coins. Although not struck in Denver, the U.S. Mint also made proof versions of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar for collectors. Proofs are specially struck with polished dies, creating mirror-like finishes. While beautiful, they're more common than high-grade mint state Denver coins, which is why the 1973 D circulation strike in top condition remains a true rarity. What's truly amazing is how much the value of these coins has increased over the years. Back in the 1970s, nobody thought these clad half dollars would be worth much more than face value. But as time passed and collectors realized how few pristine examples survived, prices began to climb. Today, owning one of the top-graded 1973 D Kennedy half dollars is like holding a small treasure chest in the palm of your hand. This is where coin collecting gets really exciting. It's not just about history, it's about opportunity. The 1973 D. Kennedy half dollar proves that you don't always need gold or silver content for a coin to be valuable. Instead, rarity, condition, and demand are what drive the market. This means your everyday pocket change could still hide a gem worth thousands. If you're new to coin collecting, I strongly recommend investing in a good magnifying glass, a coin album, and some basic knowledge of grading. These tools will help you spot valuable coins, like the 1973 D. Kennedy half dollar. And trust me, the thrill of finding one is an experience like no other. It's part treasure hunt, part history lesson, and part jackpot. For sellers, the key is patience. Don't rush to sell your coin for a quick dollar. Get it graded, do your research, and find out what similar coins are selling for at major auctions. A coin you thought was worth $20 might surprise you and bring in $2,000 or more if you wait for the right buyer. Collectors are always watching for these coins, and every year new record-breaking sales are reported. The 1973 D. Kennedy half dollar has already proven itself as a powerhouse in the modern coin market, and its reputation continues to grow. With only so many high-grade examples available, the competition to own one will only intensify. So there you have it, the story of the 1973 D. Kennedy half dollar, a coin that may look ordinary but has the power to make you rich overnight. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting your journey, keep your eyes open for this hidden gem. Who knows? The next time you flip through a coin jar, you might just find the key to a fortune waiting in the form of a single half dollar. Next up today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and potentially life-changing coins in American history, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar. At first glance, it looks like just another 50-cent piece, but don't be fooled. Some versions of this coin are worth far more than face value, and in today's market, the right one could make you rich overnight. The Kennedy half dollar series began in 1964, created as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination in 1963. By 1972, the coin had already become a familiar sight in circulation. But what makes this year so interesting is the wide range of varieties, errors, and rare versions that turn an ordinary 50-cent coin into a collector's dream. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar was minted in huge numbers at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. More than 150 million were produced that year. Most of them are common and can still be found in circulation, but the true value lies in rare mint errors, proof coins, and certain high-grade examples. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins with no mint mark, while the Denver Mint coins carry the D mark just above the date. San Francisco minted both proof coins and silver-clad issues, which are far scarcer. Collectors pay big money for pristine proof strikes, especially those with deep cameo contrast. Now here's where things get exciting. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar has a famous variety known as the No FG error. On the reverse side, designer Frank Gasparo's initials, FG, should appear to the right of the eagle's tail feathers. But in some coins, those initials are missing. This No FG error is extremely rare, and collectors will pay hundreds, even thousands, depending on condition. Imagine digging through your change and finding a half dollar where the FG is missing. That single detail could be your ticket to an overnight fortune. Some auction sales for the 1972 No FG error have crossed the $1,000 mark, and in today's strong coin market, values continue to rise. But that's not all. The San Francisco Mint also produced 1972 proof half dollars in limited quantities. Proof coins are struck with specially polished dies, giving them a mirror-like finish. These coins never entered circulation and were sold directly to collectors. If you own a proof in pristine condition, especially with deep cameo contrast, it could fetch several $100s. The real jackpot, however, comes when we talk about grading. The condition of a coin plays the single biggest role in its value. A worn 1972 Kennedy half dollar from Pocket Change may only be worth 50 cents, but a high-grade, uncirculated example certified by grading companies like PeaceGS or NGC can sell for hundreds or even thousands. Take, for example, a 1972 D. Kennedy half dollar graded MS-67. Because so few survive in flawless condition, collectors bid aggressively for these coins. Auction records show prices soaring well above $1,000 for the finest known specimens. That's big money for a coin that originally cost just 50 cents. One of the most famous sales involved a 1972 Kennedy half dollar in top condition that brought in jaw-dropping figures at auction. Stories like these fuel the dream of every collector, that the next coin in your pocket change could be hiding a fortune. Another variety worth noting is the 1972 silver-proof half dollar. Unlike the regular copper-nickel coins, this one contains 40% silver, with silver prices constantly changing. These coins carry both numismatic and precious metal value. Today, they often sell for $10 to $50, but if it's graded PR-70 Deep Cameo, the price can skyrocket into the hundreds. The demand for Kennedy half dollars has always been strong because of their connection to President Kennedy. His image makes these coins both historic and symbolic. This emotional tie adds to their collectability, and rare dates or era varieties become even more sought after. Collectors especially love the challenge of completing a set of Kennedy half dollars. That means owning every date, mint mark, and special variety. Because the 1972 NOFG era is so scarce, it instantly becomes a key date in the series, making its value even higher. If you're lucky enough to have inherited a coin collection from a parent or grandparent, it's worth checking carefully for these 1972 varieties. Many people stored proof sets or mint rolls away decades ago, and inside those collections could be the hidden treasure of a high-grade Kennedy half dollar. Even circulation strikes from 1972 can surprise you. If you have a coin that looks especially sharp, free of scratches, with great luster, it's worth submitting to a grading company. Professional certification not only proves authenticity, but also locks in its market value. It's also worth mentioning that Kennedy half dollars are still actively collected worldwide. International collectors see them as symbols of American history, and this global demand pushes prices higher, especially for rare varieties like the 1972 NOFG. Another interesting detail is that while millions of 1972 half dollars were minted, fewer and fewer are being found in circulation today. Most people stopped using half dollars in everyday transactions, meaning the ones that survive in circulation are often heavily worn. That makes high-grade survivors even more valuable. So what's the bottom line? A regular worn 1972 half dollar is worth 50 cents. A nice uncirculated one might bring in a few dollars. But a rare era like the NOFG, or a top-grade MS-67 or higher, could be worth hundreds, even thousands. And if you happen to stumble across a perfect proof or silver version, you might just have a life-changing coin in your hands. That's why coin collecting is so exciting. You never know when an ordinary-looking piece of change could turn out to be worth a fortune. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar proves that big money can hide in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. So the next time you see a Kennedy half dollar, don't ignore it. Flip it over. Check for that missing FG. Look for proof-like surfaces, and pay close attention to condition. Because if you've got the right one, it could truly make you rich overnight. Next up today, we're diving deep into a fascinating story about a coin that many people overlook, but could actually hold a small fortune in today's market. We're talking about the 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar, a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket change or collection, waiting to surprise you with unimaginable value. Now, the Kennedy half dollar series is one of the most iconic in United States history. First issued in 1964 to honor the memory of President John F. Kennedy, these coins have become both collectible and symbolic. But what makes the 1985 P half dollar so special? The answer lies in its rarity, condition, and certain era varieties that send its value skyrocketing in today's market. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 20 million Kennedy half dollars in 1985, and at first glance, that might sound like a lot. But here's the catch. Most of these coins were never released into general circulation in large numbers. Instead, many sat in bags, rolls, and mint sets. This limited exposure means that high-quality, well-preserved examples are far rarer than you might expect. The typical 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar in circulated condition is worth only face value, just 50 cents. But if you think that's all there is to it, you'd be mistaken. The real treasure lies in coins that are graded in high mint state conditions, specifically MS-66, MS-67, or higher, where the demand from collectors is much greater than the supply. For instance, most 1985 P-half dollars suffer from weak strikes, contact marks, and blemishes that keep their grade low. Coins with full luster, sharp details, and flawless surfaces are extremely hard to come by. That scarcity creates the perfect storm for skyrocketing values when such a coin appears at auction. Let's talk about actual prices. A standard 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar in MS-65 condition can fetch anywhere from $50 to $100 in the collector's market. But the real jaw-dropping values come with coins that grade MS-67 or higher, which are practically impossible to find without careful searching and professional grading. In fact, one example of a 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar graded MS-67 by PCGS sold for thousands of dollars at auction. Why? Because collectors are chasing perfection, and when only a handful of coins exist at such a pristine level, the demand shoots through the roof. So imagine this. A coin that most people would overlook as just 50 cents could actually be a hidden fortune worth several $1,000s, all depending on condition, grading, and rarity. This is why serious collectors and treasure hunters are always on the lookout for high-grade examples. But the story doesn't end there. Apart from condition rarity, error coins from 1985 also exist. Minting errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, clip planchets, and wrong metal strikes, can turn a regular half dollar into a coin worth thousands. Collectors love unique pieces, and error varieties often bring in the highest bids. For example, an off-center 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar with sharp details and strong eye appeal could easily sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on how dramatic the error is. Double die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled, are also highly desirable. It's important to understand that coin grading is everything. A 1985 P. half dollar straight out of circulation may not be worth more than face value. But if you find one in original mint sets or coin rolls that has been untouched for decades, you might have a gem that grades much higher. That's why professional grading services, like PCGS and NGC, are so important. They provide authentication, assign a grade, and help establish the coin's market value. Coins with high grades and official certification tend to attract more serious buyers and higher auction bids. One of the most exciting parts about the 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar is that many people still have them tucked away in drawers, boxes, or old coin collections inherited from family members. What looks like an ordinary coin could in fact be a hidden treasure that changes your life overnight. Let's put this into perspective. If you walked into a coin shop with a bag of 1985 Kennedy half dollars, most dealers might offer you face value for circulated coins. But if even one of those coins happens to be a pristine MS-67 or an error variety, you could suddenly be looking at thousands of dollars in profit. The thrill of coin collecting has always been about discovery. That moment when you realize you've stumbled upon something rare, valuable, and historically significant. And the 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar perfectly embodies that excitement. The coin also represents a moment in American history. By the mid-1980s, the half dollar was no longer a common coin in circulation. Most people rarely saw them in their everyday change. That makes surviving high-grade examples even more remarkable because they were not widely used or spent. Collectors know that the Kennedy half dollar series has plenty of sleepers, coins that fly under the radar until collectors start realizing their rarity. The 1985 P is a classic example of such a sleeper coin, now commanding big money whenever top-quality examples hit the auction block. Imagine the shock of pulling out an old mint set, spotting that 1985 P half dollar, sending it off for grading, and then discovering it's worth thousands of dollars. Stories like this have happened many times before, and they continue to fuel the dreams of collectors and treasure hunters alike. So, the next time you come across a Kennedy half dollar, especially one with the 1985 P mint mark, don't dismiss it as just 50 cents. Take a closer look, study the details, and consider professional grading. That small investment of time and money could lead to a life-changing payout. In conclusion, the 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar is one of those coins that reminds us why collecting is so exciting. It's a coin with a face value of 50 cents, but under the right circumstances, it has the power to be worth thousands, maybe even enough to make you rich overnight. So keep your eyes open, check your collections, and who knows, you might already be holding a piece of hidden treasure. Next up today, we're diving deep into one of the most exciting coins in American history, the 1978 Kennedy half dollar. At first glance, it may look like just another half dollar that you could find in your change jar. But here's the shocking truth. Some of these coins are worth big money in today's market, and if you happen to have the right one, it could literally change your life overnight. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It quickly became one of the most iconic coins in American history. By 1978, the coin had already seen changes in design, composition, and demand. Millions were minted, but hidden among these coins are rare variations, errors, and high-grade pieces that collectors will pay thousands of dollars for. Now, let's talk about the basics. The 1978 Kennedy half dollar was minted in two major locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins with no mint mark were struck in Philadelphia, while those with a small d mint mark were struck in Denver. Both types exist in circulation today, but their condition and rarity play a huge role in determining just how much they are worth. The standard composition of the 1978 Kennedy half dollar is a copper-nickel clad coin. That means it has a pure copper core with outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The total weight is 11.34 grams, and its diameter is 30.6 millimeters. While it may not contain silver like the earlier issues from 1964, don't be fooled. Its value comes from condition, demand, and rare errors. So, what makes a 1978 Kennedy half dollar valuable? The answer lies in rarity and grade. Coins that are heavily circulated, scratched, or worn down are usually worth face value, just 50 cents. But coins that remain in pristine condition, especially those graded MS65 or higher by professional grading companies, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most jaw-dropping examples is a 1978 D. Kennedy half dollar graded MS67 by PCGS. This particular coin sold for well over $2,500 at auction because of its exceptional condition and rarity. That's right, a 50-cent piece turning into thousands of dollars, all because it was preserved in near-perfect condition. But condition isn't the only factor. Era coins from 1978 are incredibly desirable. These include double die obverse or reverse, off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, and missing elements. Collectors love errors because they're rare mistakes that slipped out of the mint. A dramatic error can turn a common 1978 Kennedy half dollar into a true treasure worth thousands. One famous error to watch for is the off-center strike. If the design of the Kennedy half dollar is noticeably shifted to one side, leaving blank space on the coin, collectors will pay top dollar. Depending on how severe the error is, these coins can fetch anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s. Another extremely valuable type is the double die error. This is where parts of the coin's design, like Kennedy's profile or the lettering, "In God We Trust," appear doubled due to a misalignment during minting. A strong double die error on a 1978 Kennedy half dollar can skyrocket its value into the thousands. Now let's discuss proof coins. While no regular proof Kennedy half dollars were struck at Philadelphia or Denver in 1978, the San Francisco Mint did produce special proof coins for collectors. These coins have a shiny, mirror-like finish and are much scarcer than regular circulation coins. A flawless 1978 S-proof coin in PR70 condition can easily be worth several $100s. If you're checking your collection, one of the most important things you can do is inspect the luster and detail. Sharp strikes, clean surfaces, and bright original luster all increase a coin's desirability. Collectors pay big premiums for coins that appear fresh from the mint, even decades later. Another factor that increases the value of a 1978 Kennedy half dollar is whether it's part of a certified registry set. Collectors compete to build the best sets with the highest grades, and sometimes they'll pay astronomical prices just to secure one key coin in top condition. That's why some 1978 Kennedy have sold for much more than expected. Now imagine this. You're at a flea market, estate sale, or simply going through an old coin jar at home, and you stumble across a 1978 Kennedy $50. At first, you might think it's just pocket change, but upon closer inspection, it could be a high-grade, mint-state example, or even an era coin. That tiny discovery could mean you're holding a coin worth thousands of dollars. This is exactly why coin collecting is so thrilling. The 1978 Kennedy $50 may not have silver like the older issues, but it holds hidden treasures in its condition and eras. Collectors are constantly hunting for these coins, and auction records prove just how much money people are willing to pay for the best examples. In recent years, interest in Kennedy $50 has surged. More and more collectors are looking to complete their sets, and as demand grows, so does the value of rare pieces. A coin that may have been overlooked in the past could suddenly become the centerpiece of someone's collection. Even circulated 1978 Kennedy $50 can carry sentimental and collectible value. Many people save them as keepsakes from the 1970s, linking them to American history and the memory of President Kennedy. This emotional attachment also fuels demand, especially for beautifully preserved examples. If you're serious about checking the value of your 1978 Kennedy $50, I recommend getting it graded by a trusted third-party grading company like PeaceGS or NGC. A professionally graded coin not only confirms its authenticity, but also maximizes its value if you decide to sell. And remember, even small differences in grade can mean big differences in price. For example, an MS-65 coin may sell for under $100, but bump that grade up to MS-67, and suddenly you're talking about thousands of dollars. That's the power of quality when it comes to coin collecting. So, the next time you come across a 1978 Kennedy $50, don't just spend it as change. Take a closer look. You could be sitting on an overlooked gem, one that could bring you a small fortune. After all, history has shown that these coins are far more than just pocket change. They're hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. In conclusion, the 1978 Kennedy $50 may seem ordinary, but the rarest examples are worth big money in today's market. From pristine mint-state coins to dramatic mid-errors, these halves can make you rich overnight. So check your change, search your coin jars, and explore your collections. Who knows? The next coin you find might just be the one that changes your fortune forever. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos about rare and valuable coins. Until next time, happy collecting.